Good evening and welcome to the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast. I'm your host, Andrew. Joining me tonight, we've got Joe. How's it going tonight, bud?
Doing okay, man. This is certainly the constant refresh is driving me crazy right now with the trade deadline. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're not kidding, and it must be nice to be on a buying team this year instead of a selling team that's been forced into buying because the entire opening day 5-man rotation is currently on the 60-day IL. Boy, things are going so nicely in Atlanta right now. What can I say?
Yeah, I know. A lot of Cub fans today. They saw Cubs extend and they got excited, and they saw it was Jed Hoyer, and you're like, that's a weird way to spell Kyle Tucker, but okay. But as part of the trade discussion, I'll explain why it might be a good idea. I've been convinced it could have been a good thing. So,
all right. We'll get down to that. First, what are you drinking tonight, Joe?
well, again, this is trying to stay level-headed like I was last week. So just sticking with the Pepsi Zero.
All right. I am still quite sour about how my season's going, so I'm going to stick with the sours. This is the number 89 sorbetto. I think I've had this one on here a couple times. The sour passion fruit, guava, coconut, bananas, vanilla. It's a very summery, fruity sour. It's from Evergreen Brewing up in Camp Hill. Nice can
Very
art.
nice.
It's I was up there once with my wife and her friend. We went up for drinks and some small plates, and it very similar atmosphere to going up to Trogs. Nice place to go for a little night out.
Very cool.
All right, this past weekend we had the Hall of Fame inductions. Weather was threatening. It looked like they might have to move the whole thing inside, which feels like it would have been sacrilege. But after a 1-hour rain delay, the baseball gods decided that the Hall of Fame ceremony will stay outside. Now, what deal they had to do with the weather gods to make that happen, I really don't want to know because God knows the weather's been extreme enough this year as it is. So our inductees this year, Ichiro Suzuki, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, as well as the late Dave Parker and Dick Allen were all 5 inducted into the Hall of Fame. Parker and Allen should have been inducted years ago, just as a side note from me. First up, Ichiro made it on his first ballot as a Mariner. He is the first Japanese-born position player and first Asian-born player to reach the Hall of Fame. You remember, Joe, we were all in shock of this one idiot writer that did not vote for Ichiro to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because there's always that one idiot. And back in the winter, he had made the offer to have that writer come to his house for dinner to talk. And during his speech, he said, the offer for that writer to have dinner at my home is now expired, which was great. First of all, I knew Ichiro spoke a lot of English. I didn't realize he's become as fluent as he has. Great speech. I was rolling at times during his speech. He is only the second player in baseball history after. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Couple of really funny things he said that when the Marlins called him in 2015, he didn't know they had a team or something to that effect. That was pretty funny. And he didn't know. He's like, I didn't know who your team was or something like that. And I think the other one was that 3,000 hits and 262 a year is good for most people. Well, all except for one of you. So there were a few jabs at the one no vote or one non-unanimous voter.
As he should. I'm sorry, 3,000 hits, especially when you consider he's the only member of the 3,000 hit club who didn't have a major league hit by at age 26 because he didn't come to the majors until his age 27 year. And he's only the second player in baseball history after Fred Lynn of the Red Sox in 75 to win both MVP and Rookie of the Year. Not bad. So congrats on Ichiro. Great speech. I know my mom was like, so many Yankees represent. I'm like, Mom, chill your jets. Ichiro's going in as Mariner. Yes, he played for the Yankees, but just like Andre Jones when he played for the Yankees, those years were not the best. As you remember, after Ichiro was inducted last year, I did the head-to-head comparison on the first 10 and the second 10 and the after 10 with both Andre and Ichiro, and how shockingly similar it went for both of them from the first half to the second half. Now, the Yankees will get to claim CC Sabathia, who also made it in on his first ballot, of course. CC is a member of the Black Aces. He's a group of only 15 African-American or Canadian-American pitchers to win at least 20 games in a season. He had 251 wins. Probably, I think that's probably going to be the highest total we'll see for quite some time, maybe, honestly, ever, the way pitching is changing. 3,093 strikeouts, the highest inning total for any player who's debuted since 1989. He threw 3,577 in the third innings, just for the record. He's one of only 3 lefties in history to have at least 250 wins and 3,000 strikeouts. If I'm not mistaken, the other 2 are Tom Glavine and Randy Johnson. I'm pretty sure it was Glavine was the other one who got to the 3,000K mark. Big quote from CC: "I don't want to be the final member of the Black Aces. I don't want to be the final black pitcher standing here giving a Hall of Fame speech." CC was... he had a really profound speech, I thought. I really enjoyed what he said. And CC's big thing, he just wants to be he wants to be that role model for kids everywhere. And I absolutely loved that. I mean, when he was traded from the then Indians to the Brewers to literally carry them on his back into the playoffs, that was one of the most heroic pitching efforts I have ever seen in a regular season. I mean, we knew he was going to go in the Hall at that point.
Yeah, he was certainly special, and I think you touched on it. He's been an even better ambassador for the game since he retired, which is what you love to see.
Yeah, and he's funny as hell too. Listen to him get interviewed on podcasts sometimes where he can just let loose. CC Sabathia is freaking funny. Maybe not Big Poppy funny, but he's right up there. Then we had Billy Wagner, who went in as an Astro on his 10th and final ballot. He's only the 9th reliever in baseball history to make the Hall of Fame and the first lefty. Let's remember, he's naturally a right-handed pitcher. He taught himself how to throw left-handed after he broke his right arm playing football as a kid. He said, quote, "I wasn't the biggest. I wasn't left-handed. I wasn't supposed to be here. Perseverance isn't just a trait. It's a path to greatness," which that's a great quote. He has a career 187 opponent average against and a 33.2% strikeout rate. That's the best by any pitcher all time who's thrown at least 900 innings. A 7-time All-Star, 422 career saves, 1,196 strikeouts, and only 903 innings pitched. His 225 saves with the Astros are a franchise record. He played his last season, Joe, in Atlanta, and I shared this with you and Jason earlier. I didn't realize this. His last save that he ever converted in the regular season was also Bobby Cox's last regular season game that he managed. Kind of crazy. And I remember Wagner that year. He wasn't popping 100 all the time, but he was still ramping 97 to 99 with little effort. Hell of a pitcher.
Yeah, very much so.
I know as a Cubs fan, you were not upset when he left the Astros because they were still in the NL Central at the time, because Wagner mowed down everybody he faced.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Oh, man. One of the best relievers we ever had the pleasure of watching, that's for sure. All right, and then Dave Parker, who was a committee who was a committee pick this last winter. He sadly passed away 29 days prior to the induction ceremony from complications from Parkinson's. His son, Dave Parker II, read his acceptance speech, which Parker himself actually wrote most of it before he died, including a poem. And this was just my favorite stanza I read. When I read the whole poem, this was my favorite stanza. When I'm in the hall now, you can't take that away. The statue better look nice. You know, I've got a pretty face. He ain't wrong. He was the heart and soul of the 1979 world champion We Are Family Pirates. One of his great playing day quotes was, "When the leaves turn brown, I'll be wearing the batting crown," and he did it. He absolutely did. He was a career 290 hitter. He was an MVP winner, 7-time All-Star. He won the Home Run Derby, 3 Golden Gloves, 2 batting titles, 3 Silver Sluggers, and 2 World Series titles. It's the Pirates, even though recent results, and by recent I mean pretty much our entire live results, have not been there. But they are a historical franchise who have had some pretty amazing players, and he's got to be one of their Mount Rushmore players. I mean, he was Pittsburgh. Like when me and Jason were at the Bananas talking, I'll talk about that later. Split walked by holding a sign saying "Resign Schwarber," which got, of course, the whole stadium riled up and happy. And me and Jason have talked about it before. Kyle Schwarber is the Phillies now. Dave Parker was the Pirates then. Like he was that franchise guy. And they had when you went to the tour PNC earlier this year, they had a whole section of stuff for him in their Hall of Fame area, right?
I think they might have. I don't know if I can't remember offhand. They may have had something for him. There were so many cool things to see at that park with the tour. That was awesome.
Gosh. I can't wait to do it. It's probably next year we're gonna sneak out to Pittsburgh, see a game, and do the tour as well. I'm very excited for that.
They typically, I think, do the tour on 9 game days. So like, you almost have to do like a day that they're off, and then like in town if you wanted to do it that way.
I'm okay doing a weekend in Pittsburgh. That's a stupid long drive. I don't want to do that for just one day anyway.
Right. I'm just saying, as far as the scheduling goes, they do the tours usually on off days. So
that makes sense. And then the last enrollee was Dick Allen of the Phillies, who was, again, a committee pick. Dick Allen's another one that, like Dave Parker, should have been elected years ago. It's ridiculous it took this long for both of them to be elected. Dick passed away back in 2020. His wife, Willa Allen, handled the acceptance speech. She told stories about his principle, his passion, his determination. In 1971, a 16-year-old fan asked for his autograph after a game at Dodger Stadium. He stopped and looked at the boy and said, "Son, I'd rather shake your hand." They stood there, just the two of them, for 2 full hours. Dick didn't rush. He didn't wave him off. He stayed. He listened. He shared. That night, a friendship began, and the kid that Allen nicknamed Baby Bro, he's 70 years old today and was in attendance on Sunday for the ceremony. Just so cool.
Very cool.
Goosebumps, man. Goosebumps. Dick Allen won Rookie of the Year with the Phillies back in '64. He had an MVP with the White Sox in '72. Ironically, though, his best WAR year was actually his rookie year with the Phillies. He was actually a little better that year than the year he won with the White Sox. The Phillies did retire his number back in 2020, and they were able to do the ceremony 4 months before he passed away. So great move on the Phillies there. Career 292 average, 351 home runs. And again, he another guy who very Philly through and through. And like I said, definitely should have been in there long before now. All right, our candidates for next year. Here's our returners. We've got Carlos Beltran on his 4th, Andruw Jones on his 9th, Chase Utley on his 3rd, A-Rod on his 5th, Manny will be on his last ballot, Andy Pettit on his 8th, Felix Hernandez on his 2nd, Bobby Abreu on his 7th, J-Roll on his 5th, Omar Vizquel on his 9th, Dustin Pedroia on his 2nd, Mark Burley on his 6th, Francisco Rodriguez on his 4th, David Wright on his 3rd, and somehow Torrey Hunter is still clinging to the ballot in his 6th. So before we look at the newcomers, Joe, who do you think of the returning candidates? Who do you think could make it next year?
Well, I would assume Andruw Jones is going to make it. Beltran, I don't know yet. I feel like the further we get away from the Astros stuff, the better chance he has. I think those are the two that stick out that are definite, I think, shoe-ins or potential shoe-ins. The rest, I'm just not sure. It's hard to tell what they're gonna do as far as voting goes anymore because you had something like Ichiro where there shouldn't have been a single no vote and there was one. So like
Yeah.
that's a little ridiculous. I certainly think Utley will get there, whether it's this year or a few years down the road. I think he'll get there.
Yeah, I think Utley's still probably 2 to 3 years away. I think
Yeah,
he will make it. But I don't think he's going to make it next year. Last year, the only two candidates over 50% were Beltran and Jones. Beltran at 70.3, Jones at 66.2. For me, I'm not any of the steroid guys. It's clear the writers are not going to put them in. So I think you can forget about A-Rod. You can forget about Manny. You can forget about Pettit. I think Jimmy Rollins might make it, but if he makes it, he's going to be making it between years 8 and 10. I don't think Vizquel is going to get enough in the last 2 years. Felix Hernandez is an interesting case. I could see him, depending on who's hopping on the ballot coming up in future years. I don't think Abreu's going to get enough in his last 3 years. Pedroia, possible, sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure Pedroia is going to make enough of a run, but he's only been on 2 years, so it's a little too soon to say. I'd like to see Francisco Rodriguez get in as relievers are looked with more favor now than they used to be, because K-Rod was absolutely dominant when we were watching him as we were growing up. David Wright, we just kind of talked about it last week with his retirement ceremony. The injuries just sucked up too much of the last end of his career. I don't think he's going to ever get enough numbers to get there. I think Torrey Hunter probably drops this year. I don't think he's going to get enough support. He barely stayed on last year at 5.1%. I mean, I think Torrey Hunter's coming off.
yeah. I mean, I will say this with the newcomers that you're going to mention. A lot of these, I don't know how they get any votes.
I think a lot of the newcomers are not going to continue. So you mentioned the newcomers. I broke them up into 2 groups. The first group are the guys that have a chance to at least stay on the ballot. Maybe 1 or 2 could possibly get on. And that's Cole Hamels, I think, is the most likely of the group of newcomers to make it. He would be the one who would get on. I go back and forth with Hamels because he was injured a lot. But he did, he was a key cog in the World Series run. And you know what? He had a lot of really good years around being hurt. I just don't know that 163 wins is going to be enough. I think it's going to fall in that Hall of Very Good and just fall a little short of the Hall of Fame. The other guys I think that have a chance, Ryan Braun, although steroids, probably not. Alex Gordon, Shin-Soo Choo, and Edwin Encarnacion. The newcomers that I think are going to get either no votes or fall off after 1 round. Howie Kendrick, Nick Markakis, who I love Cakes. Cakes is in the Hall of Very Good. He's not in the Hall of Fame. Hunter Pence, Gio Gonzalez, Matt Kemp, Jason Kipnis, Daniel Murphy, Rick Porcello, Matt Wieters, Jeff Samardzija. Yeah, Jeff's not going to get a freaking vote. Chris Davis, who also should not get a vote. Kelvin Herrera and Edison Volquez. So for the guys on the ballot right now, this is a good year. You don't have any guaranteed first ballot guys. So that should help all of them. And this is a weak incoming class. And I don't mean weak in a bad way. I mean weak as in nobody has a really clear-cut shot and case for the Hall of Fame. Not to take away anything from these players' playing careers or anything like that. So really, Hamels, maybe Encarnacion, maybe Shin-Soo Choo eventually, but I really do think I'm not really loving any of these guys, Joe.
Yeah, Hamels to me is the only one who has a strong chance of getting far. Yeah, that's the only one that seems to me like a guarantee advance to the next year. Of the entire list that you read out. So
I'm really curious about Ryan Braun because steroid users have not been looked at well by voters. but he's not part of that original Balco report. So, you know, are they going to look differently on him than they have on Bonds and Clemens and Pettit and Manny and all the other guys that were definitely linked to steroid use? Because number-wise, his numbers are there to have a shot, but I'm just not
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like they're we've kind of seen what they've done over the last 15 years now. It's just not gonna happen to me.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Until MLB comes clean about allowing it to happen, and then you know you have to do something, because whether you like it or not, the sport wouldn't exist if it not been for those guys. It just wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, who outside of the diehards, Sosa and McGuire brought the entire sport back.
Yep.
And we can clutch pearls and all that other bullshit, but MLB had to have known it was happening, had to have let it happen. It was too obvious.
I agree. I do. So yeah, so we'll see how that pans out. Looking at the Bill James makes a Hall of Fame monitor score. Generally speaking, if you have 100 plus, you're more likely to get in. If you're under 100, you're less likely to get in. Of the new guys, the only person over 100 is Ryan Braun at 107. Cole Hamels is sitting at 57 again. I think Cole was too hurt. I really don't think Cole's going to make it. Encarnacion at a 62 as well. But yeah, like Samardzija has a 12. Howie Kendrick has a 12. Those are the two low ones. So I'm sure neither of those guys are going to be getting probably, we have a career ERA of 4.15. I'm just not seeing that as Hall of Fame worthy. It was Jeff Samardzija was a great story, switching from football at Notre Dame to baseball. But sorry, buddy, I'm not seeing it happening. Alrighty, Joe. Let's move it on to let's talk about the trades that have been happening so far. Let's talk about the trades that have gone down first, and then we'll look at some of the teams that were on the fence and see if we think there's been any movement, either from fence to buy or fence to sell.
Sure. So the first trade of this deadline, time frame, was Josh Naylor from the Arizona Diamondbacks to the Seattle Mariners for a couple of prospects, Brandon Garcia and guy named Ashton. The name's cut off for some reason on ESPN. Go figure.
Checks out.
So that's the first one, and I mean, obviously that sort of gives credence to the Diamondbacks are now sellers. They were on the fence last week, probably. So we'll see just how much they sell. The next trade was the Mets acquired Gregory Soto from the Baltimore Orioles, which he already had some action over the weekend, and that was excellent he was excellent in his inning or two of work this weekend already for them. So those were the first two, and then the Yankees got involved and made the first third baseman move of the trade deadline. There's a lot of talk around third base last week with a few teams. The Yankees acquired Ryan McMahon in a trade with the Rockies, surprisingly, because the Rockies finally decided to trade somebody that had some value. The interesting thing about that is that the Yankees are absorbing the entirety of the contract. So not only did the Rockies make a trade of a guy with talent and get some pieces back, but they've got the money saved now to make some other moves in the future. So hopefully that could be a deal where both teams win down the line. Next trade again was the Diamondbacks. The Royals acquired Randall Grichuk from the Diamondbacks. in exchange for right-hander Andrew Hoffman. And then the Yankees continued into the mix this weekend, acquiring Ahmed Rosario from the Nationals for 2 minor league pieces. The Braves made a move, but as you mentioned, I think earlier, it's a depth move with all the pitching being hurt. Acquiring Eric Fetty from the Cardinals for a player to be named later and some money. The Cardinals will cover the majority of what remains on the salary for this year in that deal. And then a few trades today. The Tigers acquired Chris Paddock and right-handed pitcher Randy Dobnak from the Twins for a catcher, first baseman Enrique Jimenez. So that was a big move for the Tigers, which kind of, again, some of these moves now kind of, we've seen the Cardinals kind of start to sell. We've seen the Twins now sell. The Royals, have done a little bit of moving. But the Royals, the other thing that's interesting about the Royals is that you had Bubik, who some guys were going to go after probably, who now is out for the year with a rotator cuff tear, I think, and having surgery for that. And then they also locked down Seth Lugo to a multi-year extension. So they took pieces off the board, which tells you that they're either going to buy another piece or two, or kind of do what they can and see what happens with them. And then if the other move today, Danny Jansen was acquired from the Tampa Bay Rays to the Milwaukee Brewers. The Rays are also working on a deal that's been finalized to get Nick Fortes, the catcher from the Marlins. So the Rays have kind of offloaded a talented catcher and then got a catcher who has the same kind of upside, I think, long term. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, my thoughts so far, number one, I'm glad to see the Rockies selling. They've needed to do this for years now. It's good to see them finally start to make a move and try to reload what is a really, really bad farm system. There's just not a lot down there right now, and they need all of the pieces back that they can get to try and rebuild for what's a beautiful stadium that's still well attended, even though the product on the field is garbage. I actually don't mind the Royals re-signing Lugo because I don't think they're that far away from competing in the Central. It just feels like, they could have gotten a lot back, but they're not that far off. And it's just a down year for a team that should be better, kind of like Atlanta. So I don't mind the move that the Royals made to extend Lugo because he's going to be their ace for the foreseeable future. They still have Bobby Witt, and they're going to have Bobby Witt for a long time. So, you need to get pieces around him to make a ball team because, as we know in baseball, one player is not, generally speaking, going to be able to carry a team the entire way. So I liked that move. The Yankees, I've got a mixed opinion right now. I love the first deal, and then the Ahmed Rosario deal, I really did not like at all. I mean, I understand getting some depth in the infield, but Ahmed Rosario has not been great this year. I really don't think that was a great pickup by the Yankees.
Well, I think the way I think you have to look at the Yankees, I understand it's not the greatest depth move, possibly, but I think getting McMahon and Rosario after getting rid of LeMahieu, with some of the other younger talent that's there, I think the experience will certainly help. I don't know that I don't think they're done by any means. Obviously, I think they're another one or two moves away from being done on Thursday. So we'll kind of see how that shakes out. But as far as like the infield depth, I kind of like bolstering that a little bit because they have some talent there that doesn't play every day in the infield that will really, I think, have a chance to do some things for them.
Agreed. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I like the Tigers getting Paddock. I really do. I'm surprised that the Twins were willing to deal in the division. That's kind of unusual. Randy Dobnak's not a bad addition with the trade as well. I think it's a good deal, and it's definitely a good. It's definitely good to bolster that starting depth before a playoff run. He's not going to be an ace by any means, but they don't need an ace. They've got freaking Tariq Skubal, so good depth move I think there by the Tigers. Good to see them doing that. We went back and forth as to whether they were going to make a deal or whether they were just gonna maybe make a couple periphery moves, and that's what I would put that as a periphery move. We did find out today that arguably the biggest closer that was available, Emmanuel Clase, has been suspended by Major League Baseball. He's on the non-disciplinary paid leave through August 31st. They have an investigation going on into sports gambling, and he is actually the second Guardians pitcher to be caught up in the inquiry. Right-hander Luis Ortiz is still on non-disciplinary paid leave. He was put on that list on July 3rd. So the Guardians said no additional players or club personnel are expected to be impacted by the investigation, but that's definitely not only a hit for the Guardians for the rest of the year. I mean, I'll grant you, Class A has not been his normal lights out self, but if I am the Phillies, if I am the Yankees, if I'm pretty much any contending team right now, going into the playoffs, and I would have had the chance to get Class A, I'm doing it, because you want to fire a fireball arm like that in the 8th or 9th inning.
Yeah, it's a little crazy to see this kind of happen the way it's happened, and then you start to say, well, he hasn't looked himself all year long, or in spots all year long, and now you start to wonder, okay, is there a reason he didn't look himself in spots all year long? This is crazy. I don't know. If there's a chance you're going to be caught up in these investigations, you need to hire an interpreter or somebody to blame it on. But I mean, the thing about this too is that this investigation with the Guardians has stretched out now for, you would assume, at least 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it's curious to me that we don't know dollar amounts yet with this whole thing, with the suspicion of these two guys, number one, and number two, how in the world can you solve a gambling situation over $16 million in a few days, and you can't solve this one in a few months? I don't understand that one. It only feeds the conspiracy theories and thoughts of protecting your guy at this point, for MLB. It certainly doesn't make the league look good, I don't think. Especially when, the sport makes so much money off of gambling now.
Oh yeah.
And people make so much money off of gambling for baseball that you have teams, local TV networks, the FanDuel Sports Network. Like, at some point,
Atlanta,
we need to figure this part out. Like, we need to figure out, number one, why it's happening. Number one, and number two, how bad do we want to be about this? Like, at some point they're going to have to try to balance the money they're making off of gambling and punishing players for gambling. At some point, there's got to be some sort of situation that gets resolved. This isn't as black and white as it was in 1919, where you knew who the big gamblers were and you knew what they were doing. Like, this isn't the same anymore. It's readily available. It's widespread, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly how this investigation into the Guardians has lasted this long, and the Ohtani investigation lasted not even 25% of the time as this. So, yeah,
you're not wrong. But one player's the golden boy of baseball, and one isn't. The other deal I really like that's been made so far, the Mariners grabbing Josh Naylor, because Naylor is perfect for that ballpark. He's a high average hitter. He doesn't strike out a ton. He knows how to draw walks. He's the kind of guy that sneaks in on Moneyball periodically when we're picking out the Moneyball hitter. And he is going to be a great pickup and support for Cal Raleigh as Cal keeps trying to destroy the record book everywhere he goes, which good luck to him because records were meant to be broken. And we'll have more of an update on Cal later. But I really, really liked the deal to get Naylor. And honestly, the Mariners, I thought that was a really good deal, actually. I didn't think they gave up too much to get Naylor. What was it? 2 prospects? Yeah, just two pitching prospects, and it wasn't even one of their. It wasn't even their top pitching prospects. So I think that was a great move for Seattle. All right, let's see here. As we mentioned, that's straight up. The Braves move is just straight up for depth. So not a surprise there. What was the other thing I was looking at?
As far as some of these teams that were on the fence last week, I think obviously we know where the Twins stand now. We know where the Diamondbacks stand now.
Yeah.
We know where the Royals stand with things. I would assume if you're the Guardians, you're probably going to start selling now that you're going to be without your best reliever. I would assume. And I think the only thing I don't know if it's clear yet or not, at least it isn't for me. The Rangers, the Angels, I would assume will do nothing. The Diamondbacks, it's a question of how far they're going to sell. They have Gallen, Kelly, as far as pitching goes. And then, of course, you have Suarez, who incidentally was hit in the hand by a pitch tonight and left the game.
Damn it.
So there's a lot of the trade conversation over the last few days has slowly shifted because you had, certainly Lugo was a target and then he's not a target. Bubik was a target and then he's not a target. So it continues to shift right now. So I would say you're really going to start to see where the rubber meets the road, probably start tomorrow night into Wednesday.
Yeah, I think we only really have 3 true sellers from our 50-50 list last week, with the Twins, the Diamondbacks, and the Guardians. Because, the Royals are probably just going to stay put. The Rangers, they beat the crap out of my Braves. Shocker. The Braves can't beat anybody on the road this year. So the Rangers have a little momentum and might think, hey, they might be able to build on this. So they're not at this point selling, but I do think they will end up selling. I think the Reds, I wouldn't be shocked if the Reds buy a little bit or stand pat. I don't know that the Reds are going to be selling.
I mean, they've won, I think, 4 in a row. So it's hard for me to see with the dogfight in the NL. I mean, they're only a few games out of the wild card. So I expect the Reds to buy at this point.
Yeah, they'd be silly not to. Honestly, they've got such a young core. Push it, try and get them some playoff experience next year and then run for the division next year. I think we can basically take, looking at Atlanta's list, Murphy and Harris should be officially off the list at this point. I don't know that we're getting many nibbles for Iglesias. I did hear that talks have been heating up between Atlanta and San Diego about Marcelo Zuna. Potentially Atlanta could pull back 2 top 20 pitchers from the Padres, which, hey, we'll take whatever we can get. Let's remember, though, Zuna does have 10-5 rights, so he will have to approve of any trade that, so he'll have to approve of it, but he's not going to play much the rest of the way out for us because it's going to be Murphy and Baldwin playing pretty much every day, either catching or DHing. So hopefully we see that deal come through soon. I'll take whatever I can get right now for the farm system. So, it seems like we're always drafting pitchers, but we also seem to draft pitchers that get hurt a lot. So it might not be a bad idea to bolster that depth a little bit more. All right. So, anything else you wanted to bring up on the trade deadline? Oh, I did see. It seems like the White Sox might hold on to Luis Robert. I think they're. I think they're thinking they can get a better deal in the offseason or next trade deadline, and he is still under control for next year. So, I'm thinking at this point, Joe, we're probably not going to see Roberts traded unless somebody is willing to really blow the White Sox away with an offer, which I don't think they will, frankly. You're muted, dude.
Sorry, the
That's all
spot
right.
that makes the most sense, I think, if there's gonna be a trade for Robert, could be the Mets, because the Mets have enough infield pieces to send back to improve the White Sox
Mm-hmm.
dramatically. So that's probably one thing, with him at least. I think it looks to me as if, strictly based on the Cubs rumors I'm hearing, um, the Gore stuff could be, a real deal, or it could be a way to drive down the price for Cabrera from the Marlins. That's kind of the talk right now.
Mm-hmm.
As maybe all the Gore rumors are to try to drop down the price from Miami, for a guy like Cabrera. I don't know if that's the case. We'll see. I think I did say I would find a silver lining with this whole Jed Hoyer thing from the Cubs, and I think what that might be is he'll feel a little more free to make moves that affect the long term future of the club,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to just a win now mentality. Not that I don't want to win now, but as a GM, it sort of, I think, changes your approach a little bit to, you know not be as willing to make moves that are, detrimental to the long term situation of the club.
Agreed. Yeah, I this you're not so all in that you should be selling the entire farm system out.
I mean, the big name that's getting thrown around right now is Owen Casey, who's likely going to be a requirement of one of the trades that they make. I hope he isn't, but it's likely he will be. I mean, if I were the Cubs, one of the moves I would make right now that doesn't include a trade, excuse me, would be to DFA like Bruhan or Birdie and bring up Owen Casey, because Hap could use a breather, because Hap is not hitting for shit right now.
No, he's not. He's making some very bias-esque moves on the base path, but he's not running great. Which that was fun. You shared the clip where the Cubs got themselves in a double pickle, and Hap was able to turn and pretty much truck the third baseman while he was trying to catch the ball, and was awarded home plate. Now, personally, I have two issues with the call the umpire made. Number one, if you're going to call interference in the fielder, he should have been awarded third base, not home, because he was retreating to third. And number two, the fielder was trying to make a play on the ball. It was not a well placed ball from the catcher or whoever was chasing Hat back up the line. But you shared that video, and I'm like, damn, this is shades of Javi bias all over again.
Well, and the thing about that play in particular is that Hap started that play at second. He went to third when I think it was Nico or somebody was going from first to second, and then he rounded third, obviously, because they threw down, and it turned into a bit of a mess. And I think, you definitely might need Owen Casey if you're the Cubs, because Ian Happ might try out for the Bears soon. Who knows? That was an interesting development there in that game, but was even worse earlier in the game. That was the worst base path play of the game, even, which is surprising to you, I know. There was an infield fly, so obviously less than 2 outs. Nico lets the ball drop, and the guy who was on second took off for third and got thrown out.
Oh my God! This was against the White Sox, right?
Yeah, so it was the White Sox guy. name was Sosa, I think. And
Oh
he took off for third, and Nico threw him out.
Dude, that's basic Little League fundamentals, man. Come on.
And you probably can find the radio call somewhere, because I was listening to the White Sox version of the call when I was listening to the game, and that's what they were saying, and it was like, oh my god.
Oh man, that's wild. All right, speaking of bad calls, we had one of the worst. We had one of the worst umpire calls I think I've ever seen that you shared earlier. Wow, that was awful. Give me 1 second here. Let me share my screen in the audio here, and I'll pop it up. Why are you not letting me share? Well, okay, maybe it won't let me. Hold on a second. Here, I'll just move it to Chrome. That we've seen some pretty bad umpire calls this year. I think we can both very much agree on that one. This though, man, this one might take the cake for one of the worst ones we've ever seen. So here, let's pop this son of a gun up here.
Wait a minute.
What is going on at home plate? Brian Walsh, man.
That's literally right down the middle.
I mean, you couldn't set it on a tee in the heart of the plate any better than that. Look at this pitch right here. How do you miss that?
That's my question. How the hell do you miss that? That's middle. That's what the hell? And why did the Orioles manager not come running out of the dugout and get tossed arguing balls and strikes? Because that's the pitch you go out and you get run for. You have to, because that's ridiculous.
That's the pitch you pull a Kyle Schwarber for, right there. That is the pitch.
The pitcher should have thrown his glove right. That's my God. How do you miss that?
I don't know, man. That was bizarre,
to say the least. And another fun news. My wife and I got to join Jason and Karen and Karen's niece at the Bananas game in Philadelphia this past Saturday, which I'm really glad we got Saturday's game, because there was torrential rain during Sunday's game. So here's some pictures my wife took and sent over. This was a special beer that was just there for the game. The banana beer, it was a banana pale ale. Or actually, I think it was a banana lager. Actually, it was really good. The banana wasn't overpowering, and it wasn't stupid sweet. It was just like you got a little bit of the banana on the back end of your palate. It was quite tasty, though. Some of the merch tent set up. Yeah, it was us. Hey, we look cute. What can I say? We were over by the side when Jesse Cole came out with Split and the rest of the team before they made their way into the stadium. The brass band, Joe, and the sax player that goes with the Banana Pep band, they're fantastic. Like, these guys are great players. That was me getting my one of my books autographed, one of Jesse's books autographed, and that was so great. I got to meet him last year. Me and Jason took a selfie with him last year. It was great to meet him again, get my book signed. And this was the Dad Bod cheerleading squad out there. That's unzoomed from our seats. We had really good seats in section 142, I believe it was, in the left field, 9 rows back from the wall. The left fielder was having fun, although I must note for the record that the freaking left fielder went 1 for 4 in trick plays. And missed a couple big ones, but the Bananas blew the tailgaters out, so it was okay, as the Bananas did take the win in that one. That was all of us at the end of the game. It was a really good time. And I am wearing the shirt I am wearing tonight is this year's World Tour shirt. So they did not have a Philadelphia special shirt this year, unfortunately, like they did last year. Karen got the Philly special one last year, and it featured the the Benjamin Franklin Bridge and the Liberty Bell and more Philadelphia city related stuff. Only one Philly alumni was there this whole weekend. We got to see him with Shane Victorino. Love the Flying Hawaiian. Don't care what team he was playing on. He was always a class act throughout his major league career. And he actually legged out a ground ball after the Party Animals dropped what should have been a double play when he pinch hit the 8th inning. That game actually went really fast. Like I think it was done in just under an hour 50. And neither team actually had the chance to had the good opportunity to use the golden batter rule. So me and Jason were a little surprised that there weren't any Philly alumni pitchers there. But there were other Philly celebrities there. The Philadelphia Eagles security guard who got himself into that little sideline fight last year was there with his Super Bowl ring, causing me and Jason to have to endure listening to a round of Fly Eagles Fly. For those that don't know, Jason is a Cowboys fan. I am a Vikings fan. This is not an Eagles-friendly show when Ron is not on, as Joe is a Bears fan. So this is not the podcast if you want to hear about the Philadelphia Eagles. And Joey Chestnut was brought down. So Joe, Aramark vendors who do a lot of the food vending throughout Major League and Minor League Baseball, they made a special banana hot dog meal. It was a banana and a piece of bread with like whipped cream and like caramel and some sprinkles and stuff on top of it. It actually looked really good, except I had just eaten a hot dog and had an Arnold Palmer, so I wasn't really hungry for that at that moment in time. But it looked good, and they brought Joey Chestnut out to take on two of the dad bod cheerleaders out in right field. Well, play was going on. No balls were hit over that way, thankfully. And Joey Chestnut beat them. I believe the final score was 16-8 or 16-9. They might have just gotten one in at the end to make it not 2 times the score, but Joey Chestnut looked like he was in prime eating condition, which makes sense. 4th of July was just a couple weeks ago, and Joey reclaimed his mustard belt after being forced to take a year off because of the sponsorship issue with Impossible Foods. So it was cool to see Jaws, and it was great because Split the mascot, he walks around the park writing things on his whiteboard and holding it up for the crowd. Like I said, one was re-signed Schwarber, the crowd loved that. He had re-signed JT, the crowd loved that. Well, the banana dog eating contest was going on. He walked across once with the sign that said "Jote," as you can guess.
Yeah. And
then he came back and just said, "Ooh," because at that point, whipped cream just dripping off everybody's face. It's like, oh god. So I have to say, the fact that 2 guys were able to stay that close to Joey Chestnut in a food eating contest is impressive in and of itself. Because I'm not sure the 3 of us together in any food related thing could even hold a candle to Joey Chestnut. And frankly, I wouldn't want to try.
Yeah. I mean, to me, to quote the great Dr. Malcolm from Jurassic Park, you guys spent all this time knowing that you could without deciding if you should.
Exactly.
That's what this banana thing. This banana thing sounds like a should versus could discussion, to be sure.
Yeah,
I don't know,
but it was a great, it was a great time, like it always is. I think combined by the end of the game there were 19 or 20 total trick plays between both teams. So a lot of outfield errors from both teams trying to make trick plays. In the game yesterday, I did see a video from the Bananas that the left fielder, ironically of the Bananas, right in front of where we were sitting, nailed a backflip catch, which is my favorite trick play the outfielders do. I love watching the backflip catches, and I got to be honest, dude. I played a lot of outfield. Even at my best outfield, I would have been terrified to try something like that. I don't know about you, but hard pass for me.
Yeah, no thanks.
It's cool, but I never was coordinated enough to even consider trying that. But yeah, my wife had a great time. We hope we get lucky and hit the lottery again next year. We want to take the kids because I think they're going to really enjoy it. The thing my wife said, and my wife, she tolerates baseball, but it's not her biggest love. But she was able to follow along really well with Banana Ball, even with all the other distractions going on. The hijinks, but she got into the singing and the dancing, and other than the annoying people that were sitting behind us, which that's any game, you're going to have to deal with people. It was just such a great experience from start to finish. So props to the Bananas for once again bringing out a great experience to Philadelphia. It was a crowd of 45,000 again, and it was, I've obviously never been in Philadelphia for a playoff game. Really no desire to go to Philadelphia for a playoff game unless my Braves are there, and that sure as hell ain't happening this year. But Jason said it was as loud as that stadium got during that game at times. It was pretty damn comparable to a playoff style atmosphere, and that's great to see. And they're going to be adding 2 more teams this fall, and they will officially have a Banana Ball league starting next year. So hopefully that means more games will be played and more tickets will be available, because that is a damned hard ticket to get. I mean, I was pulled for the Baltimore series, and tickets were sold out before my time slot to try and buy any was even called. So maybe one of these years I'll get lucky. Yeah, stranger things have happened. All right. Joe, did we have any milestones this past week? I'm going to be honest, I really wasn't paying a super close amount of attention to it.
Yeah, we did. Schwarber had his 1,000th hit, I believe, the other day, which was a homer. Shocking, I know.
I know, right? Who would have thought Kyle Schwarber hits home runs really well?
Yeah, that was one. And then there was another it's escaping me at the moment, but there was another milestone this weekend.
All right.
Pitching milestone, I believe. But I'll see if I can track it down.
Not a worry. And down on the farm this week for our hitter, we're going to feature Bobby Dalbec of the Nashville Sounds, Milwaukee's AAA affiliate. He is a first baseman. I had a hell of a week last week, /333, 370, 833. That's a 1.203 OPS for those counting in the background. In 6 games, he had 24 at-bats, scored 6 runs, had 8 hits, 4 homers, 7 RBIs, walked 2, struck out 7. No stolen base, no caught stealing. A lot of power showed off by Dalbec this past week. And also, like I've said before and will say again, that's a gorgeous minor league stadium. Go down there if you ever get the chance to. My pitcher for the past week, I'm going to talk about a guy that I really was not pleased when he was brought up because he was definitely not ready. But I want to talk about Didier Fuentes, the guy Atlanta kept up way too long, who was clearly not major league ready. But back down at AAA, he had a good week this past week with Gwinnett, went 1-0 in 2 starts, threw 9 2/3 innings, allowed 9 hits, 4 runs, 2 homers, but walked 1, which was a big problem in the majors, struck out 13. So an ERA of 3.72 and a whip of 1.03 and an average against a little high at 250. But, some of that's also, minor league defense behind you. You're going to get what you're going to get with that. So, it's good to see that after being kept in the majors for, frankly, a little bit too long, that he's bouncing back pretty well back down in AAA right now. Because I like his stuff. I do. And I'd like to see him have a chance to come back up when he's more major league ready in the future. Sometimes it works when you bring a guy up from AA, Spencer Strider, Michael Harris. This was not one of those times. Bum. Did you find it? Did you find that milestone you were looking for?
I didn't.
Other
than the first winner of the Athletes United Softball League this year.
Oh, who was that?
That championship was over the weekend. That was the team name is the Talons.
Right.
From the Athletes United Softball League. Congratulations to them on winning the first championship.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad that that's done pretty well this year. Thankfully, it does not look like we're looking at an XFL situation where it's going to be another one and done league. Softball has been very strong, notably in the United States and Australia for a number of years, and Japan as well, which is why softball was told to take a little break from the Olympics because it was being so dominated by 3 countries. So it's really good to see a professional league so these players can continue to show off their skills and have the chance to, play the game that they love to play as long as they can. I love to see it.
Yeah, the pitcher
let's roll it.
The pitcher for that Talons team, they played the championship at Alabama, and she pitched for Alabama in college, so that was kind of cool too.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. Talk about knowing the field better than your opponent, and the mound in particular. Definitely
Absolutely.
a leg up for her, pun intended. All right, let's roll it into the hot list this week, Joe. There's one player we haven't mentioned yet. He's going to be Moneyball. He is a Lancaster County guy, so we'll mention him in a second. I just wanted to preface that by saying this is why he is not being mentioned first, because he was without a doubt the best hitter this past week, no questions asked. So my top hitter is going to be Vladdy Jr. Had a hell of a week, slashing 467, 529, 700. In 30 at-bats, he had 9 runs, a homer, 6 RBIs, 14 hits, 4 doubles, 4 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Really good week for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Who's your regular hitter, Joe?
I'm going to go with Kyle Schwarber, 348, 400, 913. The slash line there. 5 runs on 8 hits, 1 double, 4 homers, 10 RBIs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. A good week for him.
Yeah. If you weren't going to mention Schwarber, I was going to bring him up because that was ridiculous last week how well he did.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Bring him out, man. Our Moneyball hitter of the week, and frankly, the guy who probably had the best week of any hitter this year, other than maybe Cal Raleigh the week he beat the hell out of the Cubs.
Yeah. The Moneyball hitter is Nick Kurtz. He's a local product originally from Manheim Township High School, for those of you in the Lancaster County area. He this week, his slash line, and we'll get to more of the story in a second, but the slash line is 591, 625, 1318. That OPS is the 1943. That's incredible. That's incredible.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. This weekend he had a game where he had 6 hits, scored 6 runs, and had, I believe, 8 RBIs. And 4 of those 6 hits were home runs. It's never been done before.
Damn near
6
5.
hits.
The one double missed being a home run by feet. Like that, Jesus.
Yeah, that was absolutely wild to watch.
I've never seen anything like that in a freaking video game.
No, that was otherworldly. It was nice to have his family and his parents, his godparents were all there for that game, which was really cool to have that happen. And like you said, he damn near had 5 home runs in that game.
Joe, this is from Optus Nets. Since 1920, when RBIs became official, only one player has had over the course of their entire career, same game or not, a game with 4+ homers, 5+ extra base hits, 6+ hits, 6+ runs, and 8+ RBIs. That one player was Nick Kurtz, doing it in a single game.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah.
And as a cherry on top, the Athletics beat the Astros 15-3 in that game.
They sure did. The rest of Kurtz's numbers for you: 7 runs on 13 hits, 4 doubles, 4 homers, as we mentioned, 10 RBIs on the week, 2 walks, and 5 strikeouts. He is nicknamed Big Amish by the A's team, I guess, and so that's even more hilarious for us.
I freaking love it. I love it. Never thought I'd ever love a guy who went to Manheim Township. Damn, I love that.
Yeah,
Old rivalries die hard, man.
Yeah, it's really special. It's awesome.
And I think he actually had another solo shot today, if I'm not mistaken. So his bat is just as on fire as any bat we've seen all year. I mean, what a week! What an absolutely monstrous week. All right, looking at the top pitchers, I'm going to go with Kevin Gossman of the Blue Jays. He went 1-0 in 2 starts, 13 innings, 18 strikeouts. A very nice .69 ERA, a .62 WHIP, 5 hits, 3 walks. That's not too bad at all. Not too bad at all, man.
No.
Who's your pitcher for the week?
Well, I'm actually, before we do that, I've got some breaking news for our audience tonight.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ryan Sandberg has passed away.
Oh, damn it.
At the age of 65.
Cancer finally got him, huh?
Yeah, Cubs legend, Phillies legend, obviously managed the Phils, at least the minors, I believe, for a time.
Mm-hmm.
A legend of Chicago, obviously, a very special person in my mind, being a lifelong Cub fan and all of that. It seemed to me the last few weeks that somebody knew something, because you had, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, you had Terry Wood and Lester at the games, like throwing out first pitches, and they were both wearing Rhino jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hoyer was in the booth talking about him too that weekend. So it seemed to me as if the Cubs knew this could be coming.
Yeah.
The second bout really it took everything out of him, and he couldn't come to the games anymore, and it was really difficult. So, this is it's obviously Cubs Hall of Famer. Is certainly remembered for being a kind and gracious star to the fans and to the game. Great ambassador for the game, like we talked about with Sabathia earlier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Fame guy. 1-time MVP, 10-time All-Star, 9 Gold Gloves. He won the Derby, 7 Silver Sluggers. He was a hell of a player, man. He really was. Last year at the Labor Day auction, which benefits hospice and community, I actually was able to pick up an autographed Ryan Sandberg ball that I gave my son Ben for his birthday last year, because Ben, of course, has decided to be like his Uncle Alex and be a huge Cubs fan just to, thumb his nose in my face. But hey, if he's going to do it, I'm happy to support it. And I got a great deal on the ball. I think it was like $35-$40. I guess there weren't a lot of Phillies fans at that point still in the auction, so that was absolutely wonderful to be able to get that for Ben. And now he's got a Hall of Fame legend in his signed baseball collection. So that's pretty freaking sweet. Rhino, rest in peace, man.
Yeah, some of his stat numbers, just for the sake of it. 15 seasons with the Cubs, he amassed 2,386 hits, 282 home runs, lifetime batting average of 285, and in 1984 was the NL MVP. 10 All-Star games, 9 Gold Gloves, and 7 Silver Sluggers. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame 20 years ago, 2005.
Yeah. I remember that induction. Yeah, and his Rookie of the Year, he was 6th, and here were the guys. Steve Sachs won it that year. He was also behind Johnny Ray, Willie McGee, Chili Davis, and Louis De Leon. So really not bad company to be behind, for that year. That was a really good rookie class that year. So, yeah, rest in peace, Rhino. You fought the good fight. Now it's time to rest. Alrighty. So where were we? Joe, your pitcher.
I'm gonna go with let's see. I'm gonna go with JT Ginn for the A's. 1-0 in 2 starts, 11 innings, pitched, 8 hits, 1 run on a homer, 1 hit batsman, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
We can ignore Paul Skeens this week. Yeah, he only struck out 15 and 12. That's low for his standards. Joe, who's the adulting reliever this week?
Well, I'm going to do a runner-up for this. I think it seems like he deserves it. Andrew Kittredge for the Orioles had an 0-1 record on the week, but he made 4 appearances, 3 2/3, 2 hits, 1 run on a homer, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, the .82 WHIP, and a 1.67 batting average against.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then the adulting reliever of the week is David Bednar of the Pittsburgh Pirates, hopefully of the Chicago Cubs by the end of this week. 3 games, 2 for 2 in save ops, 3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, a .67 WHIP, a 100 batting average against.
Yeah, it's not too shabby. Yeah. Those are the kind of numbers you want to see in a guy you're getting ready to deal, because that's going to drive the price up very nicely. For the Pirates. All right, hot teams. It's really annoying that right now playing Atlanta is all you really need to get going on a winning streak. The Rangers have won 6 straight or 9-1 in the last 10 after being dead in the water for a little while. They have fought back into the wild card race. Even though the Blue Jays winning streak, it was stopped, they are still playing great baseball right now, 8-2 over the last 10. Jason is absolutely hating it right now, but ever since the blow up Pablo Sanchez made an appearance in Mets Stadium, the Mets have been on a roll, winning 7 straight or 7-3 over their last 10. God, that one sucks. That one hurts, man. Or should we actually say at this point the New York Sotos? Because it feels like that's the direction the team's going.
It's hard to argue with the success they've had, but they've been a team of up and down lately. They win 7, they lose 7. I can't quite make sense of it right now, but this could be the new grimace.
Did you see the catch Alonso had over the weekend to end the game? That freaking leaping catch of that line drive, that was absolutely incredible for a guy who's not really known to be a good defensive first baseman. That was a absolutely ridiculous catch.
Yeah.
I give the Mets a lot of crap, but I'll give them credit where it's due. That was freaking awesome. That if ESPN still mattered in baseball, that would be a web gem. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Joe, anybody else you want to mention? Any other teams?
Well, I want to mention the Tigers, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but they are 2-12 in their last 14, and they are still 8 games up on second place in the AL Central. So to be able to be that spectacularly bad in the last 2 weeks and still be in first place by a significant margin, you may not be playing hot, but it's pretty wild.
That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. Shouldn't happen. Wow. Yeah, really. Definitely not in the hot list right now is Atlanta, as they have lost 5 straight and are 2-8, and I believe they're losing tonight. That would check out. Last time I saw they were losing. I'm assuming they have lost or will lose against. Oh no, they're actually up on the Royals right now. Well, I still don't expect that to last, given how they've played lately. The Reds are also playing really good ball right now, Joe. They have won 4 straight or 7-3 in their last 10. Like I said, they're only a game out in the wild card. They would be absolutely stupid to not at least try and make a small move to try and give them a push to get into that wild card. Cincinnati, don't screw up like you did with the 21 and 22 seasons after you made the playoffs in 2020. Don't do that crap again. You've got a good young core right now. Get them into the playoffs, get them some experience so that they can be real contenders next year. Please. That's a fun, frisky young team you've got there, and I fully expect to lose the Bristol 500 or whatever the hell we're calling the one-off game the Braves and Reds will play this weekend in Bristol. All right, Joe, I think that's about it for us this week. Can you think of anything else I'm missing? You're muted again, bud.
No, I think that about covers it. Yeah, with the Rhino news, I'm not much for much more.
No, that one hurts. That one hurts. All right, guys. Audio recordings are available on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find podcasts. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. Merchandise is at redbubble.com. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/dollardogsandbeer. We're presented by Dark Arrow Podcast LLC and sponsored by Baron Barbershop over in Mannheim. As you can see, I saw Johnny last week, and I look 1,000 times better than I did last week. The beard is not, down to my not down to the top of the collar of my shirt anymore, and it's just much better cleaned up. Looks much nicer. Johnny, as always, great job, bud. Guys, may your dogs always cost $1. May your beer always be cold. We'll see you next week with our reactions from what could be a very crazy trade deadline over the next couple days.